Welcome to Chapter 31 of The Good Earth. As always, I will begin with a brief synopsis of the chapter, followed by some key points to pay attention to, and then finish off with some big ideas the author is looking at, as well as asking some questions that I think are important to consider as you read the chapter. This chapter brings war into Wang Long's home, but once again he is protected by fortune, though it does not feel like fortune to Wang Long. His nephew, who had gone off to war, now returns with the army, and he is with a group of soldiers who are now stationed in the town. Wang Lung's nephew recognizes his cousin, and they decide to take up quarters in Wang Lung's house until the army gets orders to move out. Despite the discomfort, they realize that they are better off helping the army than they would be trying to resist because they have no weapons, and there really isn't anything that they could do anyway. One problem that they have is that Wang Lung's nephew is a member of the family and he can't be kept away from everyone, and he makes it clear that he wants a woman. Wang Lung gives Cuckoo permission to find a slave girl for him, and the nephew chooses a young girl called Pear Blossom. But she is afraid of the nephew and convinces Wang Lung not to send her. Wang Lung tells Cuckoo to find another, and a different slave volunteers, suggesting that he isn't ugly and it's no big deal anyway. She later becomes pregnant. After about a month, the army moves on, and the only real lasting effect is that now the nephew has left behind an expecting mother that Wang Lung will have to take care of. One thing to pay attention to as you read this chapter would be the way in which the war is perceived. Notice that this is not a huge political confrontation about which Wang Lung or his household have strong feelings. Wang Lung views this in completely practical terms. His household is in danger of being plundered, so he does the practical thing, which is to house the soldiers. He doesn't know and doesn't seem to care what the cause of the war is. Notice the behavior of the soldiers. Why do you think the author chose to portray them this way? In many other stories, soldiers are portrayed romantically or heroically, but not here. Why do you think that is? Finally, notice the character of Pear Blossom. She is a final important character who is introduced here near the end of the story. What are her attitudes? Why do you think that Wang Lung has sympathy for her and not for the other slaves in the household? War. This is obviously the major topic of this chapter, but the author doesn't approach it in a traditional way. Rather than choosing sides or explaining the conflict, she simply looks at the practical behaviors of the participants without exploring their deeper philosophical or psychological motivations. So, what do you think the effects of war are? Why do you suppose the author chose not to talk about the historical or political background of the war? Why are we left to guess about it? How has information about war changed in the last century? Where do you get your information about major conflicts today? And how does that information affect you?